Hey everyone, today I want to talk about this amazing book, The Studios of Paris, the capital of art in the late 19th century. This is definitely my favorite era in the art history, the late 19th and early 20th century. And this is a great picture on what Paris looked like during this period. The book is divided into two parts. So the first one gives a very in-depth view of what was happening. The Louvre, the Institute, the École des Beaux-Arts, Paris as a place where thousands of artists were trying to make a living, and some of them thriving, some of them starving, and the difficulties of all of that. To imagine that a salon had more than 5,000 images and paintings and sculptures. If you look at Art Station nowadays, that was the Art Station back then. So goes into the life of the artist in the studio, learning and different ateliers, the plein air practicalities, the studio as a place where the society met as well. So it was not just a production space, but it was where some of the artists received uh, all the people, the dealers, the collectors, and as well as the students that studied under them. Exposure of the artists and how they made themselves seen by the public. The salon was a big part of it, but then individual exhibitions started to really grow during this era. The Impressionists were starting theirs, and the ones that were rejected from the salon, and a lot of independent movements started growing, and people were making themselves visible in this very complex environment of artists, dealers, marchands, and everyone that was taking the academy that was calling the shots. So very good review of this era. I don't know if it's biased. If you know more, let me know. I know that Gombrich, for example, a big reference on art history, can be a little biased. This could be a little bit as well, but I don't have a broad view, so I really enjoyed every step of it. Some of the sites, the public painting, and all of that, we'll get there. And then the studios of artists, having more of like a map view of Paris and where they were and who are the artists that were like in the same place at the same time, in interacting, communicating, and so on. A lot of great examples from artists that you've never heard of. Maisonnier, for example, is one of the biggest names that a lot of people haven't heard from this era. Giuseppe De Nittis, never heard of him before looking at the book. Degas, Tissot, Whistler, and so on, they are more famous, but you can get a lot of references in here. The ones that were part of the Academy of Beaux-Arts, so we're calling the shots during different eras. So a lot of the names that we know, but also some that we haven't heard of. Detail, Lefebvre, even Benjamin Constant. A lot of people haven't heard of these people, so check them out. Do your research on this era. The studios, so Académie Julian and the École des Beaux-Arts will come next. The use of models and the whole model environment. This is inside the École des Beaux-Arts. I had the pleasure of going there recently. The studio environment, the relationship between the students. Some of them allowed women to study as well. Some of them didn't, and that could be a very like male environment as well. Pierre Bonnard, so starts growing on the references here. The studios of artists, some of them like bigger as Delacroix, but some of them like really smaller cubicles without the structure needed. You slept at the same place where you painted, and that's it. That's all you had. And some artists were struggling, were trying to make a name for themselves, and that's some important parts that this book likes to emphasize. Thoreau over here, and then going plein air. Sargent painting over here, a painting of Monet by Renoir. Monet appears a lot painting outside, so Manet, he was probably painting with a lot of these people. Here is a painting of Paul Hello by Sargent. This is actually colored in real life. I don't know why it's black and white in there. But anyways, the salon, some of the paintings of the salon and the judges and the are really beautiful. And people going to the salon, this is beautiful as well. Jules Alexandre Grun, another name that I didn't know prior to this. Zone and the impact of etching and editorial and poster publishing. So now they were able to sell prints, and how that impacted overall sales of artists. They could go more independent, not depending so much on collectors and dealers, and going to the mass public. Sculpture from the École des Beaux-Arts standpoint, as well as Rodin's approach, more gestural. A lot of great examples. The sites, public painting, as I said, murals, and the great exhibitions. A lot of artists worked on the great exhibitions as well. Joseph Pano, if you've seen my review on American illustrators, Joseph Pano is one of them. I would love to read more on this artist, where he studied, with who he studied, and so on. If you know, please share in the comments, or any great resources, please point me to that. And how they fall, some of their tombs, as well as a lot of them were actually forgotten throughout the years. And then the second part of the book goes more into the studios and their locations. So going into different areas of Paris, discussing who lived there, how they interacted, and how were they affected by the overall structure. I had the pleasure of going to some of those studios and at least take a picture in front of them. It's great to humanize artists. They really lived there and studied there and painted there and produced a lot of amazing artwork there. You can see some of the photographs. So Pierre Bonnard in here. Bonnard is an artist that I learned from in the Musée d'Orsay in Paris. I have never heard of him. And then I started really to admire his work. So sometimes you learn. This is a studio of Jean-Léon Gérôme, and the Zorn studio here. So it's great to see that a lot of them were at the same place at the same time. Montmartre. And yeah, a lot of different examples. I would love to see a tour based on this book. If there's any of those out there, please point me in that direction as well. Maisonnier, once again. And lots of examples. So yeah, that's pretty much the book. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope it got you inspired to learn more from this era of Paris. It's really inspiring. So have great studies. Have a great day. Take care. And I'll see you on other videos. Bye.